Take a time for a second, and I want you to stop. Yes, you stop. Wherever you are right now, you could be on in your car, in your morning walk, or maybe you are at home folding laundry, or maybe you are sitting in the parking lot trying to collect yourself before you actually walk into a building that sometimes feels like it doesn't see you. Yes, stop. I want you to stop. Take a breath. Close your eyes, maybe just for a second, and say, hmm. Some people say, woosah. Yeah, you need to stop. And hear me say something. I want you to stop just because I want you to hear me say something that maybe you haven't heard in a long time, or maybe you haven't heard recently. You, my friend, you are enough. Yes, you are enough. Not when you are losing weight, not when you are maybe getting a promotion at work, or not maybe when you finally have the house that you dream of, the car, the watch, the jewelry, the relationship, or maybe your Instagram following is going bigger, Facebook, like, comment. No, none of that matter right now. Just stop. Know that you are enough. Yes, you are enough. Right now, in this moment, with the scar, with the setback, with the part of your story that haven't been told to anyone yet, you are enough, my friend. And that is Bless One Podcast. Today we are going to talk about something that is close to my heart. We are going to talk about the voice, or maybe should I say the voices. Yes, the voices that have told you otherwise. The naysayer, the doubter, right? The people who look at your dream and laugh at you, right? The people that laugh at you, the people that made you feel like you didn't matter, the one who told you you were not much, that you were not enough, or maybe that you were too loud, you were too quiet, or maybe you were old, you were young, you were too far behind, or maybe you were too close, or maybe you were out of lane, and this one, out of position. Who told you you could do that? Yeah, no, you're right. Right now, take your time and stop. We are going to talk about what to do with those voices, right? We are going to talk about what to do to those voices. And with that, welcome to Bless One Show, because we are about to unveil everything about the naysayer and how you should be able to deal with them. And for that, let's start by talking about where the doubt begins, right? Here is what nobody tells you about the naysayer. The most dangerous are not the stranger. The most dangerous are not like the random commenter on the internet, even though that exists too, right? Because we have some people on the internet, like we say, on the internet is undefeated, because we have some people that are ruthless on the internet. But no, that is not what I'm talking about. They cannot really hurt you unless you give them the power to. Why? Because you can turn that off, right? You also have to think about that. The most dangerous naysayer in your
It's
life are
19
often the
hours.
people sitting at your Thanksgiving table. Yup, you heard that right. At your Thanksgiving, you always have some people that are sitting there and that are naysayer. The ones who were that the one who were supposed to pour into you. A parent that told you that your dreams are unrealistic. A coach who said that you didn't have what it takes, maybe. Or a teacher who who skip over your raised hand one too many times, right? One of those students at school. Because in Cameroon, growing up, I remember like at some point I realized like the teacher was always calling people that didn't raise their hand, right? In order for me to counter attack that, I started raising my hand even when I didn't know the answer, right? Just so that they don't call on you. Sometimes it fails, right? And when it fails miserably, right? So because the teacher want everybody hand to be up because they want to feel like they are really teaching that class. But anyway, that is a different subject. So I want you to think again about those people, the boss who look right through you in a meeting and act like you were not even there. And here's the painful truth. Sometimes the loudest naysayer isn't even a person. It's you. because people have always told you that you were not enough, you weren't shit, you couldn't make it and everything, and all of a sudden your inner thoughts start believing in it, and when they start believing in it every day, they are creeping up on you. Like imagine maybe that voice, you are sleeping at 2 in the morning, and the voice is running through your running your life, especially it chooses the failure one. It doesn't choose the good live reels, right? It chooses the failure one and play it like a highlight game in your head, and you are stuck with it. You can't do nothing with it, right? Look at what you have lost, right? You are not qualified. You are not smart enough. You are not good enough. Like people are telling these things to themselves. Like, no, you should stop doing it. And sometimes even tell you like, oh, you blew your shot. You let the opportunity pass you by. Yes, so what? There are more opportunities on the way. I have been there, man. I know exactly what it feels. I know what it feels like to be someone who came from somewhere. I really mean somewhere, right? Like, in case you didn't know about my story, I mean, I know it's still in making, but I came from Cameroon, man, and I walked my way to high school because I had a scholarship in high school. I had a scholarship in college. I ended up playing in the NFL. So yes, I know exactly how you feel right now because I came from there. I have walked my life hasn't been easy, like we say, right? I had to work hard for everything I have. 3 years in the league, man, and I'm telling you, even inside that story that I'm telling you, even with all of that accomplishment, I sat with doubt, right? I questioned myself. I had people telling me, oh, what I could do, what I couldn't do, like what I could achieve, what I couldn't achieve, or like how, who am I to come from somewhere and build something? You know what I mean? Like, that's not how I walk in America, but man, you need to be careful of the naysayer. And the question that changed everything for me wasn't how do I silence the naysayer. No, this is the question that changed my life, right? Or that changed something inside of me. It was like, why am I still giving them a seat at the table of my life? Because let's be realistic about something. One thing I have learned is that a naysayer opinion about my future or about your future is just that. It's just an opinion. An opinion is not a fact, it's not a prophecy. It has no power unless you give it to it, unless you give them that power. And no sayer has no power. Let me say that again because I really need people to hear what I'm trying to say here. A naysayer opinion about your future is just an opinion. It's not a fact, and it has absolutely no power over you unless you assign it that power. So that being said, right, let's talk about what I will say the anatomy of a naysayer. Let's talk about who naysayer actually are, because when you understand the source, like they say in therapy, if you understand the cause, if you are willing to accept that you have a problem, is the beginning of a solution, right? So let's actually understand what who are the source or who are the naysayer, right? Like, you stop taking the poison so personally. I call it poison, right? Do not take that poison. The first group of people, because I believe you have about four group here. The four group of the naysayer here, I will say the wounded warrior or the wounded projector. Why do I call them wounded projector? It's this person who says you can't do something because they have tried, they got hurt, they couldn't fulfill it, they failed, or they gave up on their dream maybe too soon. They will never know because the cemetery is full of dreams that could have been accomplished, but not we will never know, right? Because of they never went through with it, right? So what am I saying? That this group of people are doing this, and usually this is direct family. I'm sorry to say it, but usually this is your direct family, especially parent, that are telling you something because they feel inside like they are protecting you, right? They are protecting you. They don't mean no harm by it, but they feel like they are saying it to protect you. They say things like, "Oh, I'm just being realistic," "Oh, I just don't want you to get hurt," things like that. Or maybe, but really, they are projecting. I will say They are unhealed wound onto your unlived life. I repeat, they are projecting their unhealed wound onto your unlived. You haven't lived it yet. Unlived life. Don't hate them. Pray for them. Take their advice, put it down in the trash, and go about your dream, right? Because you can learn something from them because at least they have tried. That is the first group of the naysayer. They just care about you and they don't want to see you hurt. Now, there's a second step of naysayer. We call it the status quo. The person who benefit from you staying small. Like they don't want to see you grow. They benefit keeping you under them, right? They don't want to see you expand your wing. They don't want to see you become bigger than what they are. They panic because your expansion threatens their comfort, right? Your growth can feel like an accusation to people who chose to stay stuck. They choose to stay stuck and they don't want you to go ahead. They want you to stay right where. You know, when people move sometime in some neighborhood and or in the hood, and you get back home in Africa and you see your friend that are still there where you left them when you guys were growing up. Yeah, you got to be careful because that can also create jealousy. You know what I mean? They can become jealous of you. So you have to be mindful of those type of naysayers. And now there's a third type of critic, which of naysayer. I call these people the uninformed critics, right? The uninformed critics, they have no evidence, no information, no nothing, but yet they are here trying to tell you how to run your life. Doesn't that even sound silly? Like they have never accomplished anything. They are just right there. They don't have any information. Have you tried? No. At least from your parent perspective, they are trying to protect you. Like these type of people are just there to criticize. Like they have no information. Like what are your facts? Where have you tried, bro? Like they have nothing to show up for, but they are telling you how to live your life, right? You are writing a book and they haven't read. You are writing a book and they have never, like the last book that they even read was in high school, and yet they are out here trying to tell you, like, no, you cannot do that, or like you cannot write a book. You are chasing a vision, and they spend their life, all their whole life, playing it safe. Like no, like the an uninformed critic is loud because volume is the only thing they have. They don't have anything. They don't have any back facts or anything like that. That is like the worst kind. Like it's just they are just uninformed. Now, there's also the fourth one, and this one you see him every day when you look at the mirror. It's called the inner naysayer. That is you, man. That is you. That is the internal dialogue that took root from childhood, from trauma, from loss, from, I guess, disappointment, and convince you that you are less than what you are, that you are the exception to grace, that God's goodness somehow skip over people like you. No, man, you have to be careful because this is why it's important for you to talk good about yourself every day. That is the one we have got to deal with urgently because that one, you can turn the other one out. You can turn other people out because those are just called outside noises, right? You can tune it out. You can decide not to walk by them. You can decide to avoid them. You can decide to not even answer the phone call. But what about the inside? The inside, you cannot avoid it for so long. You have to find a way to change it, right? You have to find, and if you don't renew your mind, you will not get it over. You have to renew your mind, and as the scripture say, right, you will keep recreating the same story with different character, right? And I believe it's in Romans 12 too, where it says that do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The word transform, I don't know if you know this, but the word transform in Greek mythology means metamorphosis, right? It's like metamorphosis. What does that mean? It means transformation. And I don't know if you remember a little bit of science class, tiny bit, I do. We used to talk about a caterpillar. A caterpillar starts as a caterpillar and becomes a butterfly. It transforms from that little bug walking with multiple legs to a butterfly. That is actually a true stage of metamorphosis. So in order for you to advance, to kill that naysayer that is inside of you, you actually have to transform, just like the caterpillar. Transform everything. I mean, everything. And that is how you break free from that. I know rich people, and this will sound maybe cliche, when rich people say, if you want to be rich, you have to change your mind. If you want to be rich, you have to change your mind. That is actually true. It is actually true. So now, what about the turning point? Because after all that, you have to have a turning point. I want to tell you about a moment. I had a few of them in my life as well. Those moments where something kind of like inside you just shift, where you just stop negotiating, right, with the doubt, and where you draw a line in the sand and just say, that's it, enough is enough, right? This has to stop. And for me, one of those moments came when after a transition I didn't see coming, after a chapter of my life where I thought was stable, and suddenly it crumbled, it ended, right? And I remember sitting with it, because I did had that surgery. You guys know my career in the NFL ended up very fast, right? Barely 3 years, and boom, injury, and it was done, right? So I thought I was sitting there, I was remembering, and I had the embarrassment, the frustration, the uncertainty. I had this big goal, question, and in that quiet, in that hard, uncomfortable quiet, something rose up in me. Not arrogance, not denial, no, not that, but kind of settled knowing, right? Like, this is not my ending. This is not where everything stops. Like, no, this is my setup. And I have this saying that's always said, that don't let your setback to cause you to sit back, but instead prepare for your comeback, right? Don't let your setback cause you to sit back, instead prepare for your comeback. I love that sentence, right? So sometime in life, things might not go the way we want to go. And this always also remind me of the story of King David before he actually became a king. Because if you remember, the story of King David in the Bible, where when Samuel in the Bible, prophet Samuel, when the prophet Samuel went to his parents' house to try to anoint him, he wasn't even there at his own anointment. Why? Because the prophet got there, there were people like his brothers, of course, that were better looking than him, stronger, physically taller than him, with his father, and yet Samuel did say, no, there's someone else that God chose, and it happened to be David. Do not look at his appearance or his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see a man, does not see as men see. For men look at the outward appearance, but the Lord look at the heart. This is 1 Samuel, I believe, 16:7, right? David was out on the field, overlooked by his own family, not invited to his own anointing, and God chose him anyway, right? I don't know where you are right now. I don't know where you are right now in your life. I don't know what room they forgot to call you into. I don't know what field they have left you in. But I need you to hear this, right? Being overlooked by people does not mean that you have been overlooked by God. Being overlooked by people does not mean that you have been overlooked by God, man. Your naysayer don't have the final vote. They do not. So, how do you actually stop letting them win? Okay. How do you actually stop letting the naysayer win? Let's get practical here, because inspiration without implementation obviously is just entertainment, right? Here are a few principles that I have wrote together here. Actually, I'm looking at it. I have wrote a few principles that help me, and I believe that will also help you take your that will also help you take your power back from the naysayer in your life. The principle number one is decide what story you are the author of, right? You have to make a conscious, like you have to decide your story. It's your life, and there's only one of those, by the way. You have to make actually a conscious decision that your life is your narrative, and do not, and I repeat, do not make your life the summary of someone else, right? Because a lot of people are living a life that they are not even supposed to live it. This sounds simple. It is actually radical because most of us are walking around living inside a story that we didn't even write, because maybe it could be like written by your parent, your culture, past life trauma, a teacher, an ex, maybe possibly that you are nothing, and all of a sudden you gotta become somebody. And we have been performing that story for so long that we actually start believing that it's our story when in fact it's not. So, in order for you to take back your power, you have to take out a blank page of paper, man, literally, or metaphorically. You have to take a piece of paper and start writing the version of you that you want to see, a version of you that will make you actually happy, a version of you that you believe is actually possible. Write in the present tense. And one of my best motivational speaker of all time, I listen to a lot. Les Miles, E.T., Eric Thomas. Who else do I listen to? I listen to obviously the great Tony Robbins and all that. Right? But the person I like the most is actually Jim Rohn. I have the way that man, wise man, because now I have been trying to lose weight recently, and now every time in my thought is like when I want to eat something like sweet, and I say, what would Jim Rohn? In my heart it says, what would Jim Rohn say? So you need actually to get to that point, but that is a different story. What I want you to write is, I am, not that I will. I am a person who builds. I am a person who heals, right? I am a person whose best days are in front of them or in front of me, right? One thing that I also like, and I like to repeat all the time, is which I learned from Jim Rohn. I always give credit where credit is due. He says you have to repeat things like, I'm open to a level of success I haven't yet imagined. Do you even understand that sentence? I'm open to a level of success I haven't yet imagined. Opportunities are always emerging in my life. That's the word I'm searching for. Opportunities are always emerging in my life. I live a life of I live a life of abundance and opportunities. So you have to be able to repeat those type of things. I just give you what I repeat to myself every morning. As soon as I wake up and I put it on myself on my knees and I pray, those are the first words that I say. Opportunity. I'm open to level of success I haven't yet imagined. Opportunity are always emerging in my life. I live a life of abundance and opportunities. You see, those are the words that I repeat. But you have, because I'm trying to also fight those naysayers, like at least the little bit that is still creeping there on me. You see what I mean? So that is that is my concept number 2, right? The things that I have to do to transform. So I have to decide the story that has to be written about my life. I won't let any more naysayer. Of course. If there's a principle of number 1, there's also a principle of number 2. So audit your circle without apology. A lot of us make a mistake that because we have been friends with someone for so long, even though we say that, oh, we need to accept them like that. No, it's not okay. You don't need to accept them like that. You have to cut off, even in the Bible, it's like if your right hand is the one that is stopping you from getting in heaven, you chop it off and you move on, right? Same thing. If that is what is stopping you from progressing, if that is the naysayer talk, that is always talking behind your head and things like that, go ahead, chop it up and move on without apology, man, because this is about your life. It's not about somebody else's life. It's about your life, and you need to take control of it. Use the doubt as a fuel. This is my principle number 3. Use the doubt as a fuel. Do not let the doubt fuel you and burn you. Use it as a fuel. Like, in order for a rocket to go there, it needs fuel. In order for you to maybe expand, to get that level of altitude that you are trying to go to, you need to use the data as a fuel. That is another principle that I really like. And then, of course, build evidence. Principle number 4. You need to build evidence, because sometimes what I'm saying here might be seeming like it's easy to say or it's easy to do, but no, that is actually not how it works. So sometimes we also need a book. I have mine like this. I have mine. I know this is a free commercial, but I have mine like this, where I write things inside, right? Where you write things, and it might be for your dream, and another one for your accomplishment, where you write it down, and every time that doubt voice start creeping on you, you might use it as a piece of evidence and be like, well, in the past I was told I couldn't do this and I did it. You're reading something that you yourself have already accomplished, right? In the past I was told I couldn't do XYZ. I have done it. You see what I mean? And this is your evidence. This is something that you hold dearly every time those voices start creeping, right? You can put it in a journal, on a phone, a sticky note, whatever you want, whatever is convenient for you. You can put it right there, because it's necessary at times to erase the doubt. And of course, principle number 5, and you guys that know that I hold this one dearly. You have to anchor your identity into something that is unshakable. Do not anchor your identity in your work, on your job, or maybe your relationship. Nope. Nope. Because as soon as those relationships start crumbling, you too, you get drowned with them. You have to anchor your identity in something that is unshakable. And I'm referring here to God. You have to put your faith in God. Because when your identity is anchored in God, no one can take it. The loved one, the chosen, the love, chosen, purpose, enough, no job loss, like no rejection, no failure can reach the foundation of who you are, because those are things that don't matter. Your foundation is in God. They can take, they can take the title, they cannot take the calling. They can close the door, but they cannot close the destiny, right? They can take the title, but they can take the title anyway. They cannot take the calling. And they can close the door, but they won't close the destiny, because what is for you is for you. The prophet Jeremiah says it plainly, right? And this is the part where I wrote down, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plan to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. That was written for people that were in exile. I don't even know if you know what an exile means. An exile is like you are like castrated somewhere where you are either maybe in slavery and you cannot do nothing over there. You are not within you are with your people, because you are in a different environment, in a different country, a different group of people, and they are the one making the decision about your life. And yet God's come and say, hey, I haven't lost the vision for your life, even if you have. That is powerful. Okay, so now to everyone who was told that they weren't enough, I'm going to read this part because I put it down. Every one of you guys that were told that you were not enough, this is for you. I want to close with something a little bit different, right? I want to speak directly to you as personally as I can, right? To the person who was told that they will never make it out of their city, you made it. And even if you are still in that city, you are not who they say you will be, right? You are still here, still fighting, still building. That is not nothing. That is everything. To the person who was passed over the promotion, the opportunity, the moment, I need you to know that I need you to know that what was not for you was protecting you for what is. That is what I need you to know. Your timing is not late. Your timing is sovereign. To the immigrant like myself who came to this country with a dream bigger than your luggage. Oh, yeah, because we, us African, we tend to carry a lot of luggage. But to the immigrant who came to this country with a dream bigger than your luggage and faith stronger than your fear, you belong here. Not because someone gave you permission, because God placed the vision inside of you. And vision doesn't carry a passport. To the parent who is raising children and wondering if they are doing enough, let me tell you something. You are. The very fact that you are asking the question is the answer. You love them. That matters more than perfect. Perfect really doesn't exist. We can all aspire to be perfect, but perfect really doesn't exist. To the entrepreneur who has launched and failed and launched again, welcome to the most elite club there is, my friend, because this is the club of people who refuse to quit. Every attempt is not a failure. Every attempt actually is data. You are one pivot, one relationship, one door away, maybe one more shovel away from succeeding. Don't give up. To the person who lost something this year, a job, a relationship, a loved one, a season of their life, I will not minimize your grief. Your loss is real. Your pain is valid. But I want you to remind you that loss is not your final chapter. It is often a turning point. I repeat, loss is not your final chapter. It is often a turning point, the page before the comeback. And to the version of you that is still listening to the voice that say you are too broken, too far behind, too scared, too ordinary. If, and I should just say, I want you to know that the most beautiful light in the world come through cracked things, kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel, of the tunnel. You are not broken beyond use. You are cracked open for a reason. And you, exactly as you are, my friend, you are enough. Thank you for spending the time with me today, guys, because this episode is something that really is touching me dearly, and I wanted to share that with you today. So share it with someone else that you know or that you feel will need something to hear something like that just to keep pushing, something like this to not give up. Tag someone who need to a reminder that they are enough, right? And if you have been carrying the weight of the naysayer world, or whatever it came from, like someone else or from a mirror, I want to challenge you to do one thing this week. Write at least 3 things that you have overcome so you can have your first piece of evidence. Anytime those ideas, those thoughts start creeping in your head, you can go back and read it. And with that, I will just say, God bless, peace.